Hey gang, this is Andy over at Falco K9 Academy. I'm live here at Crossfit Firestone in Brea, California at the Firestone Juicery. She didn't want to be on camera. I got her shoulder on camera. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff today. We'll be talking about our normal dogs in the news stories, and then I'm going to take you on a tour of CrossFit, where later on we're going to be showing you how to exercise with your dog. And that'll go right into our program called Falco Fitness, where we are going to have a, what is that little giggle for? A bunch of exercises that you can do while you're on your walk with your dog. That way both you and your dog can get exercise. That's another excuse to take your dog out for a walk, and another excuse to train your dog, because you're going to be needing to have a little bit of obedience in order to do all that stuff. Today in the news, what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about a narcotics dog that made a fairly large fine. So we're going to give you some good news amongst all the news that's kind of going on in the world right now that's kind of crazy, and kind of bring you back to a place of, I don't know, of good stuff. Dogs are known to be therapy dogs to help people coming back from the war, from people from traumatic stress, and children who have cancer. So let's use dogs today to kind of get back from all this stuff that's going on. And we are going to just hopefully make not only yourself feel a little bit better, but just get your dog out for a walk and just spend some time with your dog. And so one of the first things I want to talk about that's in the news is I like to read these articles where people write into the dog person at different newspapers and different blog posts and things like that. And in this case, there's a pretty good question. And again, I like to bring you the same things that I talk about. That way, you know, it's just not me making up a bunch of crap. That I actually have been doing this for quite a while. But the question is, I've seen people have great success with training their dogs in obedience classes, but after class ends, the dogs forget everything they were taught. Why bother to train if the dog is going to forget anyway? That's a pretty good question. The dogs don't forget. I am telling you. My police dog there over at Anaheim Police Department, I remember one day we were training on chain link fences in other words, getting the dog to jump over a chain link fence and to get used to that. There's a weird thing that happens as a dog approaches a chain link fence. Their vision is looking through the fence, and they don't often look up to go over. So if they're chasing a suspect through a yard and he goes over a chain link fence, quite often the dog runs into the chain link fence and just can't figure out how to get over the top. So you literally have to train a dog to go over that. Well, on one day of training, my dog got his fingernail caught on the chain link fence, and from that point on, my dog hated chain link fences. He wouldn't go near a chain link fence. So to say a dog forgets training or forgets things that he learns either on his own or through the training process is not true. The dog actually does remember. Chandra Lynn Smith, who is the person who responds to this particular story, her answer is this: dogs are not at fault for lack of obedience class follow-up. This is about human error, not canine. Dogs are as good as we teach and expect them to be, and as bad as we allow. The day obedience class ends is not the day training ends, which is something I think I talked about last Saturday, or maybe the Saturday before that, that it's an ongoing thing. It's for the entire life of the dog. Training ends the day you say goodbye to your beloved best friend after hopefully a long life. No matter how great the teacher or class that you go to, there comes a time each client must make the training work in their daily routine. I know it's a challenge. The best pets in the world have three things in common: exercise, discipline, and affection, based on our training with love and respect. They also receive them in that order. But even the best pets mess up too. Keep that in mind. So I really like what she wrote here, that it's a lifelong thing. And again, training really is for the human being in the beginning to learn how to maintain the behaviors and to create a specific type of dog that you want living within your home. In other words, an obedient dog that gives you love and respect, and in return you can give your dog love and respect. But it's not something that just you go take a class for 7 weeks and then at the 7 weeks you never have to worry about your dog being trained ever again. That is not true. It continues on for a long period of time. So great article. As usual, I'll put these links in the Facebook posting of the replay of this show. That way you can actually read the whole article, since I only read portions of the article. Really, I only read what's important to me, and I read the rest. All right, so let's look at this other story. It's actually a pretty interesting story because it brings back some memories of me when I was training some dogs across the United States for other police departments. And there's a lifelike fake dog used to train canine handlers on life-saving techniques. You'll like the picture. It's actually a Belgian Malinois. So those of you that like the big dogs, the German Shepherds, the Malinois, and the Dutch Shepherds, you'll like that it's a Belgian Malinois. The people who brought you Star Wars now present the world's most lifelike fake dog. Former model makers from Industrial Light and Magic have designed Hero, a Belgian Malinois model. Hero is a good doggy. I never say doggy, but the story does. But with constant problems. He bleeds out of a wound on his back leg. He needs CPR. He needs to be intubated. Canine handlers practiced in San Mateo, California. Thursday, how to perform medical procedures on Hero without needing to bother a real dog. The San Mateo County Sheriff's Office hosted the training session offered by the nonprofit Police and Working K9 Foundation. Dozens of law enforcement handlers from Northern California came to San Mateo to practice on Hero on Thursday. You know, I used to be part of a group called the International Police Canine Conference, where again we would travel throughout the United States teaching handlers about their dogs, dog training, that kind of stuff. And one thing we would do, we'd go to the shelter, we'd ask them for about 10 dogs that we could borrow for the day. And we had 2 or 3 veterinarians that we would have on staff during that particular training session. It was a week-long session, and we would literally perform procedures on these dogs humanely, but we would do it and we would give them shots of vitamins, so the handlers would learn how to give their own dog a shot. They would learn how to do all kinds of procedures, how to tape up a wound. They would learn how to put a splint on their leg if they broke their leg. And they would also just kind of give the dogs a little bit of narcotics to make them just a little bit more mellow. And so, but we had people understaffed. And so this is a great tool considering how much work it was to get 10 dogs and then try to adopt them out, because that was one of the things we tried to do as we were taking the dogs back, is to adopt them out. But that was a lot of work to take those 10 dogs, have all those veterinarians on staff to make sure that we were taking care of the dogs and keeping their health in mind. But I think this is a really good thing. So those of you that are police officers that might be watching this, and canine handlers, some of you guys on LinkedIn and some other stuff like to watch these shows, think about maybe getting one of these dogs. I'm sure it's fairly expensive. It doesn't say how expensive this dog is. I'm not sure if they're doing this as some type of benefit and maybe donating some of these dogs to the police departments, but it would be a really good thing. So the company, again, just so you have it, is Industrial Light and Magic. They designed Hero, a Belgian Malinois. So it's really, really good. There's a picture of a gentleman performing CPR on the dog, and so you'll find that picture if you click on the link, which will be in that story afterwards. Let me take a drink of what is my drink called again? The Skinny Me. The Skinny Me has kale, lime, pineapple, and cucumber. If you don't even want to work out, just come to CrossFit Firestone and get smoothies and juices, and then protein bowls. We got 2 guys over here on my right that are eating some protein bowls. They just got them and they're already gone. They must have had a heavy workout. They threw those things back. I used to have a roommate. He can eat a double at In-N-Out Burger in 2 bites. I remember that guy. That was one of his things. He was just, I don't know why you would do that. Because the double is so dang good, why would you want to just have 2 bites of that stupid thing? Okay. This next story is for some of you that may be looking for a job in dog training. There's an opening up in San Francisco, and the reason this kind of caught my attention because they have some really top-notch dog trainers up there in San Francisco. I just brought up a story about San Mateo and that area is very dog thick, I guess is the word. They have tons of dog programs, great dog trainers. Gosh, none of the names are popping into my head at this moment, but I've had a couple of them come down here and teach some classes, a weekend, and that kind of Sophia, somebody give me a name. I see somebody typing on there, but I can't see what it says, it's so far away. Sophia, what the heck is her name? She's up in, she's a veterinarian and a dog trainer. What does that say?
Jason.
Jason says?
Camera view is flipped all the way.
Yeah, I know. That happens when I go to the face fronting view. It goes backwards. I've got more comments on that. It's only so I can see that there's people commenting. If I would turn it around, it wouldn't be backwards. I've looked on settings to try to fix that, so I've gone to a couple people and nobody can seem to tell me how to fix that, but that's just the way it is. So back to San Francisco, there's an opening. Are you a dog trainer with big dreams of educating pet owners in humane training methods? Does it motivate you to be at the forefront of advocacy for effective science-based, non-aversive dog training with a world-class animal welfare organization? The San Francisco SPCA is a community-based nonprofit organization dedicated to saving, protecting, and caring for cats and dogs. If you're passionate about dog training and want to join a team of extraordinary behavior resource professionals, we want to hear from you. So this just came out yesterday. Some of the responsibilities are teaching public group classes, adhering to and supporting the San Francisco SPCA dog training curriculum, developing and updating curriculum as needed, providing excellent customer service, of course, performing training, class administrative duties, attendance, distribution of material, and follow-up if necessary, working cooperatively with all volunteers. And so you have to be cooperative. That would be really good. All right, the qualifications are 2 years of college coursework plus 1 year of dog training experience. That's not a lot. A year of dog training experience is not a lot. I'm sure if you have more than that, they'd be happy to have you, but dog training takes a few years to get some experience. No. Minimum of 1 year instructing the public in group dog training classes. Again, not a lot of time, but I guess if you have that, you're in. Proven knowledge and practical experience in basic dog training using positive reinforcement. Customer service experience, available to work weekends and evenings, and credentials. They have CTC, CBDT, etc. Preferred. I guess that's part of the Association of Pet, APDT, Associated Pet Dog Trainers. And that's probably the credentials that fall under them. So again, this link will be in the posting so that you can see what that is if you happen to live in the San Francisco area or maybe want to move there. It's very expensive, so hopefully they're paying a lot of money and demand a lot of money when you go there. All right, let's talk about some this really cool story. It's more the picture than anything else. I'm sorry I can't share my screen today. Normally I could do that, but the connection here on the internet for my computer was just not good enough to sustain the show today, so I had to go to my phone. But in Florida, police in Florida got creative to help return a lost dog to its owners. The Tarpon Springs Police Department on Monday posted a mugshot and paw prints of the black and white dog. Willow refused to tell officers where she lived, so she was taken to the PD where she was booked and photographed. She was very cooperative with officers and probably one of the most friendly prisoners we've ever had in custody. Just a little short for her booking photo, so she needed assistance in getting up to the right height. Police wrote in a Facebook post. And so when you see this, you'll see it's very interesting. You know, police officers have a sense of humor. I just want to remind everybody out there. And I want to put this up, and you're going to see the picture that's actually on the posting on there. And I think that's pretty cool. They're just looking at another way to reach the public and kind of show their humorous side of things. And it's not always chasing down bad guys and controversy and all the other stuff that you keep hearing about police departments. There's a lot of good stuff that happens around there. And so I will post that up there. But I think that's pretty creative, going in and posting on their Facebook, showing this mugshot. They got a picture of somebody, it looks like a woman holding up the dog, and the dog's kind of splayed out, not smiling, of course, but looks like a criminal with one black eye, like it has an eye patch on. So go ahead and check out that story as you go there. All right, now let's talk about some other things that police dogs are doing. 2 men are arraigned after a traffic stop leads to record seizure of cocaine. Where is this taken? It is this. It is, Rhode Island. All right, so we're in Rhode Island on this story. Albert. Never heard of a police dog named Albert. I've not ever heard of it. Usually it's Falco or Bullet. But Albert, no, I've not heard of Bullet. Albert, the Labrador Retriever, the state police K9 sat down near the trunk of a Are we back now for sure? All right. Again, internet connection all over the place. This has been plaguing me throughout the last week, no matter where I have gone. And normally where I have pretty good internet connection, it disconnects. So I don't know how much of the story you heard, but the dog sat, and the cocaine was, whereas 29 kilograms of cocaine were found by this particular dog. Family members were attempting to raise the cash to bail them out, and there was another the story. There it is. Traffickers will use multiple cars traveling together, and it said the police report, written by Detective Gus Salas, K9 Albertan. One car will have the contraband, and others will be used as spotters for counter surveillance. These spotter cars will be used to warn of police patrol units on the highway of interdiction points. You know, one interesting thing that has changed. Now, when I was a police officer, when I first started, cell phones weren't really that big. As a matter of fact, I may have been the only one who had a cell phone back in the time because of the stuff I was doing with my police dog and that kind of stuff, traveling around and doing searches. But there was only one cell phone in the police department, and I had it, and I think the chief of police had one. And so back then, there wasn't this issue of cell phones. Now, we had pagers where they would page somebody that they wanted to make a buy, or they would page somebody a warning that police were coming, that kind of stuff. But so much more now with the cell phones and the ability to communicate and to use them almost as walkie-talkies to warn other people within. It disconnects, and there we go. And we're back, and I got another smoothie. How good is that? And so what I was saying is that there's so many ways that the bad guys can get out of under the net of law enforcement. But the one thing that remains consistent, the one thing that always helps us, is the dog. The dog's nose is so powerful that no matter what they try to do with electronics and with technology, the dog, the least technological thing that we use in police work today, is still the mainstay that it has been since the early 1900s and late 1800s, when police dogs first started getting used. And it's so great to see that that's the one thing that continues to be useful and doesn't change. They try to get sniffers in airports, they try to get all kinds of things to find bombs in airports and that kind of thing, and contraband, but yet the dog is the thing that always continues, right? They can spend millions of dollars on one machine, and then they find out that it really doesn't work that well, right? Because one reason why is because humans are always attached to it, right? It's always the human aspect that gets in the way, but a dog, even with a bad handler, can still be very, very effective. Their noses are just that strong. So, I'm so happy to see. There's some good stories. There's good things that are still happening in the news. We just have to look for them. Again, what I want you to do is I want you to begin to get out with your dog and do a little bit more stuff. And I'm going to show you around this great place here that they've allowed me to come in here with my cameras, and we're going to do some stuff later on at 10:30, showing you some exercises with your dog that you can do, just a couple. I'm going to have one of their trainers with me, Casey, who's going to explain what body parts the exercises we're going to be using work. I'm going to have a dog who is just not necessarily the dog. I just got the dog like 4 days ago from a shelter. He's just learning some obedience. His name is Morty. He's going to be going to a mortuary. And I'm going to show you that even with a dog that's brand new, just now learning obedience, you can very quickly use that dog and help that dog get exercise, make the connection and that bond by taking them into an environment where you can get some healthy exercise both with you and your dog. Now I'm going to remind you back at 10:30 that dogs actually get more exercise by using their brain than physical. Dogs are running around all day long, so that kind of never stops, right? They're always getting physical exercise, but how you tire a dog out is make him use his head. And now how you tire a human out, make him use his body and his head, right? But the body more than anything else, push-ups and lunges and jumping jacks and sit-ups and V-ups and all the other things that we're going to show you. We're more physical. Dogs need to think. So you'll see how the two actually mix really well together. So I'm going to disappear for 1 second because I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to show you around the facility so you can see what it looks like. So sorry I'm going off camera. I wish I could. Let me see if I can turn this around, and maybe you'll see that the spelling goes. See now the words are correct. All right, so we're going to walk around here. Thank you, Jason, again for working that out or pointing that out. So there's the offices for the admin people. In here we have little sparks. Little sparks is where the kids go. You can see they have a TV and everything in there. I'm not gonna show you, nope, there is one kid in there. I'm not gonna show you the kid. And in here we have a massage room. It gets a little dark in here because nobody's in there right now. So they have massage and physical therapy rooms here. All right, a little waiting area. All right, let's come back out here. Hi. And here's the juicery that I told you about. They make juice, smoothies, protein bowls, acai, which I thought was acai, but I guess it's acai. Who knew? And here's where we do our boot camp. And they have rock climbing. They have bicycles and they have free weights. And we use all of them in our boot camp. I do the boot camp and Pilates. I know that sounds strange to do Pilates. And these are row machines that are all up in the air. You just pull them down and you have your row machine. And over here we have CrossFit. All the CrossFit people. This is what the class is going on right now. Very cool. All right, hope I'm not going too fast. I know panning makes people dizzy. Thank you. All right, now we're gonna go upstairs. See if I can do this without tripping. Upstairs here. Alright, so now we're coming upstairs. The lighting's going to change because they like the mood lighting. Here we have spin class. There's Casey. We'll be talking to Casey a little bit later on. And here is Pilates class. A lot of people in Pilates. And funny enough, the instructor's name is Andy. Very cool. And let me show you just one more thing. It's actually pretty cool. Kuhl. Yeah, I said Kuhl. That was really weird. All right, here's a higher view. They just put up the American flag and California flag. I love that they put that up yesterday. Or was it the day before yesterday? All right, let's come downstairs. And one other great thing that they have here is individual showers. Pretty cool place, brand new. It's I think it's only been opened up maybe about 6 months, I think, 9 months. All right, so right here we're gonna at 10:30 we're gonna be showing some exercises with your dog, some things you can do with your dog in regard to exercise. Yep, just setting my tripod back down here, turning things on. Everything will go backwards now. So my shirt's backwards now. So this is the facility. We're gonna be taking our dog. I'll actually be demonstrating with the dog of what we're gonna be doing. We'll be talking about the obedience part of it, and we're gonna be talking about the physical part about what it is that I'm gonna be doing and asking Casey about in order to better understand what muscle groups we're gonna be using and that kind of stuff. And this again goes into our Falco Fitness, where you're going to be able to log on. It's going to be a membership site that you can log into, and we're going to give you routines to do with your dog. And we'll just go. It'll be a growing thing. I'll put some recipes for smoothies. I was just recently on a smoothie cleanse, and I'm sold. The smoothie cleanse was one of the best things I've ever done for me physically and health-wise. And so I'll have some smoothies in there. Feeding your dog raw and natural fit right into that product, and so I'll group those two products together, and that should be available and open on Friday, opening up with a few videos that you can start working with your dog. We'll be talking about obedience in the videos. We'll be talking about, again, the exercises, and even maybe some types of foods that you don't necessarily have to make, that you can actually buy that are healthy and natural for your dog. How to keep your dog hydrated. Everything that has to do with health and fitness will be in the Falco Fitness program that again will be coming up live, I believe, on Friday. It may be a little bit sooner, I'll let you know. And of course, we'll be talking about it again next Saturday, where I hope to be back here again, showing you a couple other exercises to continue this process. Because it's summer, we can get out and with our dogs, we can do stuff, we can go hiking, we can go out to the beach, and you can perform some of these things with your dog, and it'll look really cool. People ask you, hey, how'd you hear about that? And you're gonna say, well, you've never heard of Falco Fitness? What, are you crazy? It's the newest craze. You're gonna have to get on board. All right, so thanks for putting up with us going off signal there a couple times. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure and subscribe so that you get announced when it is we're going live. Make sure that you share this video so that other people can see what we're doing. I really would appreciate that very much. And when you come to CrossFit Firestone, and because you saw us live here, make sure and let them know that it's because you saw it on Falco K9 Dog. News. I almost called it Dog Talk. That's my podcast, is Falco K9 Dog Talk. This is Falco Dog News because we talk about dogs in the news. All right, that's it for my broadcast for right now. 10:30 a.m. Come back. It's only, what is it? It's only an hour from now. An hour from now, we'll be back live. I'll have my trainer Casey with me, and we'll be doing some exercise and having tons of fun. All right, I will talk to you later. See you at the next one. Take care. Bye.